Hey guys, this is my likes and dislikes of the Sony RX10 Mark III. So let's jump right into it. It's a 24 to 600 millimeter camera, which means it's giving you 400 millimeters more of telephoto reach than the two previous models of this camera, and it's giving you about 200 millimeters more than the 2-year-old Panasonic FZ1000, a camera that I absolutely love shooting with. In terms of startup time, the startup time is not bad. I'll give you an idea just about how fast it is by just turning it on and then taking a shot as quick as I can. So that's basically what you're looking at. Seems to be around 3 seconds. And then after that you've got your memory card here, which I know this doesn't seem like much, but man, is it ever tight to get your finger in there. Anybody with big hands might have a hard time a little bit, because I was looking at my Canon DSLR and I've got a good ½ inch extra to get my finger in here. So once you press on it, it's really a tight fit. And this particular door, of course, it's plastic, it's not rubber, so there's no flexibility to it. So it means for you people out there with the big fingers or the big hands, you're gonna have to pinch to get it out. It's obviously a single slot, not a dual slot. As far as the zooming in and out is concerned, you can get to 600 millimeters probably in around, I'd say, a little over 2 seconds. You can do it by way of the button up here. All right. Or you can use the ring. And in this case, I've set it up to be quick or fast in the menu system, which means I can get all the way to full telephoto in one turn. I seem to remember seeing somewhere on a video that somebody was saying you have to turn several times. Well, that's only if you set it up to be a sort of a slower turn. But you'll notice here a full turn gets you all the way. And on top of that, you can also stop it at any time by half pressing on the shutter button. So there you go. As far as the focus speed is concerned, the focus is good. It's fast, it's accurate, in low contrast ambient light. However, unless your autofocus beam or autofocus light is able to hit your target, it's going to, of course, hunt. But it's not enough for me to say it's a major problem. I think these kinds of contrast autofocus detection systems sometimes are not absolutely perfect, but overall my hit rate has been extremely consistent. But definitely there is some contrast or low contrast situations with the camera will hunt to achieve focus. As far as the video is concerned, the video is stellar, all the way up from 24p to 4K. I'm not a big fan of 4K at this point because I think it's a memory hog, and I also think that the resolution and the quality output is really high at all resolutions with this camera. And so, of course, that's always your preference, but I like to shoot at 30p or 24p. And as far as the slow motion is concerned, the slow motion with this camera, of course it gives you all these different frames that produces from moderate slow motion to extreme slow motion, but you'll only get true HD slow motion at 120 and 240 frames per second. Anything above that becomes really mushy and soft, and of course it's always fun to look at your balloons explode or whatever projects you have in your backyard. But if you're actually doing serious video and you want to add some slow motion clips, better to stay at 240 and below, or of course shoot at 60 frames per second and slow it down in post. And in terms of the audio, when you're recording with a camera like this, and of course if you're doing a more serious video, you're likely going to be using an lapel mic or an external microphone of some kind, but the internal microphones on this are actually pretty good. Of course you can adjust your volume to your audio recording level, but if you look at the link below that I posted that I did the FZ1000 a few years ago, the in-camera microphone is really noisy. It's picking up some sort of rumbling inside the camera, and there's no way to get rid of that sound. So just to let you know, this camera does not have that issue. Now, as far as batteries are concerned, the battery performance is pretty good. This camera, is to be expected. It all depends on how you use it, how often you zoom in and out, and of course, how much you use your displays, etc., etc. So, but I think it's on par with the FZ1000. And by the way, I'm comparing those two cameras because obviously I think they're very much similar on some levels, at least to the people who are considering a bridge camera. But one of the things I do like about this camera that the FZ1000 doesn't is that if you look on the top right hand side, you're seeing the battery level indicator on a percentage level and not just on a 3-bar level, which means that if you're getting, let's say if you're into your final third of your 3/3 of battery level consumption, it means that you can actually see the difference as to whether you're at 5%, 15%, or 32%. And to me, that makes a big difference, because many times I've shot events with cameras where the bar is giving me, indication that I'm running really low on power and that I need to change my battery. But the thing is, I might still have plenty of battery power left, other than the fact that I'm not sure if I'm at 5% or at 30%. So I'd like the percentage indicator for that. You do have to charge the batteries through the camera with a cable, but of course you can get an external charger. I got the Watson from B&H Photo. It's not very expensive, and of course you can get additional batteries as well, because I think it's ridiculous to charge through the camera. And as far as the menus are concerned, well, the menus are what they are. I've been able to get used to them, and having shot with a lot of different camera bodies, including Olympus, I think Olympus are probably the worst. They really force you to dig down to find a lot of things, but I find that the ability to customize so many different buttons on this camera really eventually negates the need to go into the menus eventually. So, depending on your preferences, you can set your flash exposure compensation, although that dial is on top, and I'll mention it in a sec. There's all kinds of ways to configure these buttons to your personal liking. So I wouldn't worry too much about the menus. Give it about a week, and then once you get used to the system, it's as easy as anyone else. Okay? And in speaking to the exposure compensation dial, it is very, very stiff. And it's stiff for a reason. It's just so you don't accidentally turn the wheel as you're handling the camera. The Olympus cameras, the OMD1 and the OMD5s, I find it's really, really easy to turn that dial. So Sony has made it nice and stiff so that doesn't happen. So I think they've been listening to complaints on that level. Although, of course, again, you can configure that any which way you want, and that includes, the rear button or the rear wheel button, or of course, any of these customized buttons. So, anyways, customization here galore. One thing I should mention that I forgot to mention earlier is that the slow motion in this camera can only be recorded for short bursts. So, in other words, in real time, you'll be able to record about 2 or 3 seconds of actual footage, and then that'll translate to about roughly 10 seconds of slow motion footage. So don't expect to be able to put this on a tripod and then just film 10, 15, 20 minutes of slow motion. That's not going to happen. This camera does not do that, so you have to plan your clips intelligently to make sure you get the most out of it. But again, you can always do 60 frames per second in post, shooting 60 frames per second, so that in post you can then apply your own preferences for slow motion there. As far as auto ISO is concerned, yes, thank God, it is available. Let me find it for you. It is on first. Actually, maybe that's something I should probably add as a custom menu preference. So, there it is. All right, so you've got a minimum shutter speed implementation here, which works really, really well. So you can have it as slow as you want to as high as you want, and that works really, really well. And I can't say enough how useful that feature is, especially during events, or if you're shooting in an environment where it goes often from bright light to dark light. It just saves you some time of making adjustments with your camera. So there you go. And of course, you do get your headphone and microphone input, which is huge. And then after that, you've got your quality pop-out LCD screen, okay? Very nice resolution, nice and clear, but of course my preference is to use the electronic viewfinder. It is bright, it is clear, it is sharp, and it is my preferred way of shooting probably 99% of the time, and also my preferred way of reviewing images, because in bright light I isolate my eye away from all of the environmental light that might affect my ability to see my pictures properly and scrutinize for critical focus. And as far as the image stabilization is concerned, it works really, really well for stills, and it works even better for video, so no problem with that. So it is, of course, weather sealed, and it feels nice and heavy, which is something I actually like. I'm not looking for a credit card sized camera. I know what I was getting when I was getting this camera, so I'm quite pleased about this. And the reason I bought this camera and sold finally my FZ1000 is because you know, the reason I use a bridge is because when I go just to shoot for leisure, whether it be street photography or what have you, I like to bring a camera that doesn't leave me regretting I wish I brought an extra lens or a different lens. And this camera does amazing stills and videos in combination. You know, the camera has finally arrived, I think, since the coming of these, the predecessors of this camera and the FZ1000. I think the bridge cameras now should be taken seriously as a professional tool. If anything, I think it's a great professional tool side by side with a DSLR, which is the way I like to do it. So if I go to, let's say, I'm just making up a situation, let's say I'm going to shoot an event, my DSLR will actually be my niche camera. It will be the one that I'll use, that specific lens for specific, say, portraiture, a 50mm or what have you, and then this is what's going to carry the rest of the way. Yes, the image quality is that good. And so, and of course, along with Photoshop, you can enhance it even more. And I'm not saying fix, I say enhance. So, you know, having a DSLR and a bridge camera for me is the way I like to go. And I finally had to make my move to get this camera a few weeks ago, because even though right now it's July 9th, 2016, and I got the camera a few weeks ago, I've yet to hear from Penny as to the follow-up to the FZ1000. And, you know, being I'm in Canada, I get, and I'm a part-time photographer, my busiest time is between spring and fall. And so I wanted to make my move now, and of course I'll be watching what Penny has to offer, but I've made my move, and I'm not returning this camera. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks.